It's January 16, 1983. Ticket prices are cheap, beer is practically free, and in Japan, the girls are crushing it. That was lame, but this episode won't be. I'm clearly talking about Chigusa Nagayo and Lioness Asuka, the Crush Gals. Welcome to Wrestling Through the Ages. I'm not gonna lie, my heart leaps and hops with happiness whenever I think of this prestigious tag team. Why, you ask? Because of the moves. Look at these moves. You know what? Here's a pre-montage. Let's go. There. Now that we got that out of the way, let's start this deep dive off. Lioness Asuka began her wrestling career in 1980 and had her first recorded match on January 16 of 1980 for All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling, losing to American sensation Wendy Richter in Kitakata, Fukushima, Japan. She would not use the Lioness Asuka moniker until her first match of 1982, defeating my favorite lady of wrestling, Sherry Martel, in Onada, Yamaguchi, Japan. Chigusa Nagayo also began her career in the 80s, around mid-August, and at the tail end of December had her first televised match in, you guessed it, All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling, losing to Irma Gonzalez in Goshogawara, Aomori, Japan. Both Asuka and Nagayo wrestled a handful of times in 81, due to the organization having too much female talent. Crazy, I know. Could you imagine if that was a thing nowadays? Anyway, as you would have guessed, the two faced off against one another on March 31st of 1982 to a time limit draw in Yonezawa, Yamagata, Japan, and the fans ate it up. This wasn't the first time the two faced each other either. They would be paired with random tag team wrestlers on opposite teams throughout 82 and 83. And then, on January 16 of 1983, the Matsunaga brothers, more specifically Takashi, saw how well the two worked against one another in these tag team bouts and decided to pair them up. And pair them up he did. God, I love Joshi-Puroresu. Side note, did you guys know the Crush Gals also sang and sold over 100,000 copies and had several popular singles? Anyway, 1983 was going to be the year of years. They lost in a 6-woman tag team match to Devil Masami, Leilani Kai, and Hiro Ito on January 16 of 1983 in their first match. Not a good start, but things will turn around soon enough. They also had a WWWA tag team title shot against the Dynamite Girls, Jumbo Hori and Yukari Omori, in a 2 out of 3 falls match at my favorite Korakuen Hall on August 27. They got their first streak, beating Itsuki Yamazaki on the 28th. Yamazaki and Jaguar Yokota, another fantastic lady, November 13, ending in a double countout. Defeated the Villainous Alliance on January 20 of 1984. Another double countout on January 26, this time against Yokota and Hagiwara. February 22nd, defeated Dump Matsumoto and Yamazaki. The Villainous Alliance beat the Gals 3 days later, but they bounced back with 3 wins. And on the 25th, finally won the WWWA Tag Team titles in a 2 out of 3 falls match, successfully pinning the Dynamite Girls inside Korakuen Hall in 19 minutes and 41 seconds. But, sadly, the Villainous Alliance would best them 6 months later on February 25th of 1985. I love Bull Nakano. She's so damn good. The Gals would trade wins with the Villainous Alliance up to the Best of Tag League 1985 finale on October 10th. 10 months would go by due to Nagayo suffering a knee injury. The Crush Gals would have to vacate the WWWA tag titles and be put on the shelf for a while. Garden on March 8 of 1986, defeating aging Donna Cristianello. Just calling it how I see it, everyone. Donna is 45 here. And always classy, but true, Judy Martin. in front of 16,390 fans. They then lost in a dark match 2 days later inside the Civic Center to powerhouse Black Venus and Leilani Kai. Then, 5 days later, defeated Leilani Kai and Penny Mitchell inside Madison Square Garden, which should have been a hell of a wake-up call for the Crush Gals. Their first and only American 3-win streak. Then they started a wrestling feud with the Jumping Bomb Angels. I feel another episode in the future, which consisted of Itsuki Yamazaki and Norio Tatano. The true disappointment is that it would take 1 year and 9 months for the next rematch to happen, all the way to September 14 of 1987, at which point the food was pretty cold and the interest dropped rather quickly. They had 5 more matches until the flame completely fizzled. Why? Nagayo had an arm injury, taking her out of action for over a year, which shortly after coming back to full-time wrestling, Asuka straight up decided she was done. This was the time to retire, completely extinguishing all future Crush Gals success. The Crush Gals would reunite in early 2000, having their first return match on May 14 of 2000 against Akira Hokuto and Devil Masami. And to no one's surprise, it was a failure of a reunion. Both women, being way past their prime and having suffered multiple injuries, stunted their performance and left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. Not to mention, this was for Shikusa's failing promotion, which she would overbook dog-down vets who just couldn't keep up the pace like they once have, and made most of the talent look very weak. They tried one last time to make a comeback as Crush 2000. Everyone saw right through this and didn't bother paying attention. Well, that's the sad story of the Crush Gals. What had such amazing potential and great promise at the start of their run fizzled faster than you could enjoy the tag team. But all that being said, the amount of talent this tag team faced in the 80s and how much each wrestler pushed one another on the daily cannot be overlooked. This was the greatest moment of Japanese ladies wrestling until the next generation of talent took over in the 90s. I love the Crush Gals, and I truly wish they could have survived far longer into the 90s instead of splitting up and focusing on a singles run, or retiring and then coming back, which is what both females wanted at the time, mind you. Well, thanks everyone for sticking to the end. I make these videos for you, the wrestling fans, and I'll see you next time for another episode of Wrestling Through the Ages.